The Pittsburgh Steelers winners today 27-14 in a decisive win against the Cleveland Browns. Steelers improve now to 10-3 after today's victory at Acrisure in Pittsburgh. So welcome into the Bleav in Steelers show. My name is Mark Bergin. Before we get started with this post-game analysis, today's episode of the Bleav in Steelers show is brought to you by betonline.ag. Get in on the football action today over at betonline.ag. We're well into the NFL season. Bowl season is here. If you want to get in on the action, betonline.ag is the place to do it. Bet online, the game starts here. Steelers winners today, 27-14. George Pickens did not play. This offense looked very average, but it was still a decisive win. And here's what I mean by this. 2 picks by Jameis Winston, 2 missed field goals by the Browns kicker, and then Kadarius Toney for the Browns, muffing the punt late, helped put the Steelers put the game away late. Kadarius Toney played 2 snaps in the fourth quarter, both on special teams. He muffs the punt, which the Steelers recover, and then had a fair catch and was flagged for taunting when the Browns were down multiple scores. It was also late in the third quarter and the fourth quarter where the Browns have some sort of penalty and it knocks them out of field goal range, down multiple scores as well. Good teams take advantage of this, and good teams take advantage of this, particularly considering that the Steelers offense didn't play all that well today. I know Russell Wilson had 2 touchdown passes. Wilson, 15-26, 158 yards through the air, sacked only once on the ground. The Steelers, 16 carries for Najee Harris, 53 yards. It's a 3.3-yard average. But Harris's score coming off Keanu Benton's interception in the second quarter gave the Steelers for good in this game. And you love to see the big man. He got his first career interception. That's Keanu Benton. And then James Pierre as well. I also want to give him a shout out to intercepted Jameis Winston in the fourth quarter. So again, I look at this as the special teams that the Steelers played versus the special teams that the Browns played. The Browns had the muffed punt and 2 missed field goals, whereas the Steelers take advantage of that. They recover the muffed punt, and then Chris Boswell, who's been as good a kicker as there is in the league this year, 2 of 2 on his field goals today. He made all 3 of his extra points, had a 54-yarder as well. So Boswell has been really good, and he's been really good relative to how the rest of the kickers have kicked at Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh. So huge advantage the Steelers have, and that really was the big takeaway that I had was you took advantage of another team's mistakes, even though you didn't play that well offensively. What the Steelers did do, though, offensively, is they held Myles Garrett relatively in check, considering he had 3 first-half sacks in that Week 12 game on Thursday Night Football. I didn't see him do a whole lot, but the Steelers defense did a really nice job against Jameis Winston. They had the 2 sacks. The 2 interceptions. They had 3 sacks. Winston was 24 of 41, 212 yards through the air, had the 2 touchdowns, but again, he had the 2 interceptions, 1 to Keanu Benton, and then another to James Pierre, and it was too little too late. I thought this defense really responded well. 25 carries for the Browns on the ground, 104 yards. Nick Chubb, 11 carries, 48 yards on the ground, but I thought that this defense really shored up when you needed it to. And credit the Steelers, too, with the muff punt, too, because Cordero Patterson had a fumble. But yet again, it shows the simplicity of how the Steelers have had success this season. It was even. Both teams had the ball for 30 minutes total, but the Steelers win the turnover battle today 3-1, and that was the difference in this one. I thought it was the special teams and just bad turnover. So the missed field goals for the Browns and then that muff punt at the end by Kadarius Toney put the game away. So that's really my big takeaway. Hopefully the Steelers can get George Pickens back really quickly. He sat out with a groin injury, first game in his career that he's ever missed a game. So George Pickens in year 3, hopefully you can get him back. Larry Ogunjobi left in the first half with a groin injury. He did not come back. Hopefully Pittsburgh can get him back out on the field. And then Dante Jackson, the cornerback, having a really nice season with 5 picks this year, left the game with a back injury in the third quarter. So we'll know more about that here in the coming weeks from the Pittsburgh Steelers standpoint on the injury front. But the Steelers did get back Alex Highsmith today, and it gives them more depth at the edge rushing position with Watt, Highsmith and Nick Herbig as well. Highsmith today had 3 tackles. 2 of them were solos, had a sack and 2 tackles for a loss. So it's good to see TJ Watt's counterpart get back out there. And again, you can never have too much depth at the edge rushing position, particularly if you're the Steelers. How about 13 tackles for Deshaun Elliott? What an acquisition he was for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Had a pass deflection as well. He was the team's leading tackler today. And Patrick Queen as well had 10 tackles as well. Also had a pass deflection in today's game. So those were my big takeaways. Again, you see kind of how vanilla and standard this offense is without George Pickens. Again, you're going to need him back here on the stretch run. But this coming week, the Steelers, they have the Philadelphia Eagles on the road, and they haven't beaten Philly in Philly since 1965. So going to be a tough one. The in-state Pennsylvania rivalry, if you will, Steelers and Eagles next week. You have a 4:25 kickoff there. Going to have a lot of analysis this coming week about this game between the two teams, but the Steelers get to 10 wins. They're now 10-3, and they are fighting for playoff positioning with the Chiefs, with the Bills, to see who can get home field advantage and who could get a bye in the first round of the playoffs, so you don't have to play in the wild card round and you can start playing in the playoffs in the divisional round. Get an additional week of rest as well. What a huge advantage that would be. And then potentially to play a game in Pittsburgh at Acrisure Stadium in the playoffs. At this point, that's what the Steelers are fighting for, is they continue to increase their lead atop the AFC North this season. So that's what's ahead this coming week here on Bleav in Steelers. I'm not seeing a ton in the chat right now for what yins think. What I can do is this, though. If you have questions after you've watched this, I know I'm going live a little bit later today. If you have questions for me, leave those in the comment section. I can do my best to get to them throughout this week as well. I'll respond if you just leave a comment. Temple is checking in saying, nice win today. Not always pretty, but good teams win games they're supposed to. It is as simple as that, and you got to win this game considering these next couple of weeks for the Steelers. You've got Philly this upcoming week, and let me pull up the Steelers schedule as well because it's pretty tough. So you've got Philly this upcoming week. Then you've got the Saturday game against the Baltimore Ravens on December the 21st. Then on Christmas Day, you take on the Kansas City Chiefs at home. So this 3-game stretch is going to be really tough for Pittsburgh. If you could come out of that stretch against Philly, Baltimore, and Kansas City, say 2-1, you're sitting pretty right there. So the Steelers had to have this game today. And the Steelers today also eliminate the Browns from the playoffs officially. So the Browns coming off a year where they had a really good defense. Today, the Steelers get their revenge from week 12 in week 14 in today's 27-14 win. But the Browns officially eliminated from the playoffs after today's loss, and the Browns fall to 3-10 at the bottom of the AFC North Division. And so Baltimore is 8-5 at the time of this recording. The Cincinnati Bengals are 4-8 at the time of this recording. And it's nice to have that multi-game lead as you head into the toughest part of the schedule if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. So those are my thoughts following today's game. Steelers, big win against the Browns. And again, we'll see what happens to see, can Pittsburgh finally win in Philly for the first time since 1965. Keep it here on Bleav in Steelers this upcoming week to get you ready for the game. Also, I spoke with Jim Rooney. He's the son of Dan Rooney, about his book. It is now an audio book that is coming out to commemorate the late, great Dan Rooney. So check that out. That's going to be coming out on Monday. The book is entitled A Different Way to Win. That will be out on Monday here on the Bleav in Steelers channel. Again, that is my conversation with Jim Rooney, the author of A Different Way to Win, a book that commemorates his father, the legend, Dan Rooney. That's going to be out on Monday. So keep that here on the Mark Bergin YouTube channel and also on Bleav in Steelers, wherever you get your audio podcasts as well. So keep an eye out for that, my conversation with Jim Rooney. And again, we're going to get you ready all this coming week for NFL Week 15 Crazy that we're saying that, and this season is flying by. My name is Mark Bergin. Thank you so much for watching Bleav in Steelers. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, go leave us a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. And on YouTube, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Again, I'll be back on Monday with my conversation with Jim Rooney, and we'll get you ready for Week 15. Enjoy the rest of your weekends. Steelers winners, 27-14 over the Cleveland Browns. I'll see you later this week. Until then, take care, and so long, everybody.